Hello, this is CandySun here, and this is my analysis for Update 3.8 in Bloons TD Battles. If you don't know by now, I do this every single time there's a major update, and I just go through it, give my first thoughts on what I feel the update's about. So, first we have new features. So, you can now purchase additional deck slots. I want to say it's $5, I haven't actually looked at that yet, but I think that's good for casual people who just want to have the ability to have an extra deck. Honestly, if you really want an extra deck and you don't want to buy it, just have a notepad next to you and write down what cards you want to switch out. It's simple as that, but if you really want to have the convenience of having the extra in-game deck on it, then you can purchase it. Again, that doesn't change the gameplay for people who don't buy it, but you have that option too. Hot Tub is now live in club arenas. I find it a great club arena map. I do not find it a good regular arena map. So this is a map designed for people who play club arenas. So it's a longer map, it's a more casual map, and it's pretty well done. However, again, this is not good for regular arenas where maps are generally based on how difficult they are, and the more difficult ones are more fun in there. So for people who play club arenas, great. For people who play normal arenas, not great. But it is a club arena map only for now. Now there's card battle club arenas, so that's going to be interesting. I think that having stuff like Play with Fire, Bonanza, will be interesting. Again, these are not designed for the competitive-based people, these are more for the casual people. But what this does is allows you a little more variety in what decks you can actually use and defend stuff. So, for people who want to have that addition, they can play it. For people who don't want to play and just want to play regular card battles, they can. Having club access now reduces the amount of wins for previous week's cards by 50%. Again, that's just Ninja Kiwi adding bonuses for people who have club access. Doesn't change the game for people who don't have it. I mean, if you really wanted to have the card, you'd just unlock it the first week, but to my knowledge, they don't reset after each week, so it's like, even if it's 75 wins over the span of multiple weeks, it's something that can easily be done. Swan Lake and Mondrian are now no longer club exclusive, so will also be in battle arenas in assault mode. I find that interesting to finally allow them. So basically, from what I'm getting with this, is that club access just gives you prior access, which is why I'm thinking that Hot Tub may also make it into regular arenas later on. So again, I don't think these maps are really going to change the meta at all. It's just a couple extra maps that go into the mix. Mondrian being a little bit more of a longer map, Swan Lake being more of a shorter map. So you get a balance. Some balance changes. Rematches no longer count towards card unlock process. I agree with that change. Being able to just rematch and abuse it if you find someone you know in a quick battle, or a battle arena match rather, could make it really easy if you just kept surrendering or something like that. And you just did it for each other, and you'll both unlocked it. Concrete Alley and Racetrack maps have been adjusted to be equal. Okay, I like that change. Again, nothing game-breaking or anything so far. Battle card changes. Sabotage increased to 8,000 from 7,500. That's a little bit of a nerf, of course, but the reason for that, because I was talking a little bit to Bruno and Lucky, because I was talking to them about what stuff needs to get nerfed and whatever, and I brought up Sabotage, not because it was broken or anything, but because increasing it to 8,000 made it slightly less affordable early on. So it doesn't actually really nerf the tower once you get going, but it just makes it a little bit tougher to afford in the early rounds. Not designed to really hurt. That's just a little kick, I guess. Laser Cannon got some big changes. It's 5250 from 4500, so an extra 750 bucks. Again, the main goal of that change is so it's tougher to afford around 10 or 11, and not make the tower less useful into the mid-game rounds. The Bloon Send has changed to just be the same exact price and same Eco Send for whatever it is. 3-1 Factory is now 55 zebras instead of 60. I don't think that's going to change the viability of the card at all. I mean, yes, obviously it's going to be slightly weaker, but I don't think those 5 zebras necessarily make the difference. Especially considering how cheap it is. Super Monkey, now 2,500 from 3,000. That is designed mainly to be able to compete with the Moab Mauler and other Moab popping power cards, because that's where the Super Monkey shines. I think that tower may be seeing some more buffs as we go on, but at this time it's 2,500, so that's going to be something interesting. It might be something to use for Moab popping power and ceramic popping power if you just leave it on strong. So that would be something interesting to try out, and it has the camo lead send. So it has that versatility at the same time. Again, I don't think it's going to be a broken card, but I think this will make it slightly more viable. I don't think it'll be meta though. Attack Shooter, the tower cost is decreased, balloon cost decreased, and tighter spacing on balloon send. So what that does is it makes it a little bit easier to use. What the issue with Attack Shooter wasn't that the eco send was bad, it was just that it takes so long to send for what it was, and the tower itself is useless. So the tower itself is still going to be useless, but the balloon send is going to be slightly better. Again, trying to compete with towers like the 0-0 Dart Monkey, 1-1 Ninja, and 0-0 Sub, I want to say, or is that 0-1? Next we have the Ring of Fire. So the Ring of Fire has a real interesting change, and what this does is it decreases the amount of rainbow sent from 14 to 11, but changes the round send from 12 to 11. So what it seems the aim of this change is not necessarily to make it a stronger rush overall, but just to make it afforded earlier on. I think that in combo with the laser cannon nerfs are going to make round 11 rushes that much tougher to deal with. Again, 11 rainbows is not tough to deal with, but having it tougher to afford that laser cannon on that round does make it a little interesting to what if they send rainbows round 11 now, instead of you get it round 12 and laser cannon's easy to afford by round 12, but you sacrifice the extra eco to get your laser cannon around 10 or 11 when you have these stronger sends early on. Never miss targeting, down to 2,600 from 3,000. Power's not going to be useful still, but again, it's going to be nicer for the casual people who want to be able to use more towers overall. The Spectra is increased to 14,000 from 13,000. That changes whatever, that's not going to change the usability of the tower. By the time you can afford the Spectra and it's useful, money is not an issue. It's like the Ray of Doom. I think that's just a little bit changed just to make it a little tougher to afford early on. Sort of like the Sabo, but except with the Spectra. Round 0 from 16,500 from 15,000, and the balloon send is changed just to match that. I think that's an interesting change. Obviously, it's not going to necessarily make the Ground Zero a bad card. It's still going to be perfectly viable. However, this just makes it a little tougher to afford round 21, which is, from what I'm seeing, a lot of the changes are designed like that, just to make it a little tougher to afford early on. Because, again, I don't think the card itself is OP, I just think that the price itself made it too easy to afford early on, especially with how high of eco people can get in the card battles. So I think that's a step in the right direction there. Again, it's probably going to need more nerfs if you want it to be perfectly balanced. But with this becoming 16,500, I could possibly see powers like the Maelstrom making an appearance. Because for round 21 rushes, the Maelstrom's actually a pretty decent card, if you have more popping power at least. Again, it's not a ground zero, but it's just something else. Glaive Lord's decreased down to 6,500. I don't think that's going to make it viable, but I think that gives it a little room to compete with the laser cannon. I don't think it's going to be viable off of this though, because still, the laser cannon is much cheaper, and for what towers we have in decks mainly, and what the meta is, I don't think Glaive Lord will fit necessarily or overly well into it. However, the fact that it has camo lead detection might make it worthwhile over the laser cannon in certain scenarios. Especially with the Monkey Beacon buff. I want to say that's 1-1 village, and if you know the village glitch with the boomer, it makes it pop 2 layers instead of 1, which means that in combo, I think that might be a viable option. However, I don't think it's going to be meta. Maybe scenario, or yeah, some scenarios it might work out, but Monkey Beacon, it's from 18, it's 218 balloons from 16 rainbows, except this is on round 12, so this allows it to differentiate itself from the Ring of Fire. So with how it was, there really wasn't much of a difference between the Ring of Fire and the Monkey Beacon Bloons Sense. So why would you choose one over the other? And it'd be purely because of the tower. But the Bloons Sense themselves didn't really change. So the Ring of Fire now is a slightly weaker rush, but on round 11. And the Monkey Beacon is now a slightly stronger rush, but on round 12. So again, this just differentiates them. I don't think these towers are necessarily going to be meta, but I think that this just makes it a little more spicy, a little more viable in certain scenarios, and just adds up a little twist here and there. Especially with the fact that now you have the BFB sense with the sniper. I think that adding up to more rushing cards, while also nerfing some of these defending cards, is just going to make the game a little bit more interesting. Again, I don't think the meta is going to be really shifted much, but I just find this interesting. Then we have some desktop version changes, so most of the mobile viewers really won't care about this. But tower placement hotkeys can now be used even while an existing tower is selected. I like that. I really like that. Cards in the hand can now be hovered over to expand cards. I haven't tested out, but that seems like a good change. Click and place style tower placement now works with card battles. I don't know anyone who used click and place, so if you use click and place, good, I guess. In the deck screen, the deck can be hovered over to expand cards. I like that. And the scroll wheel sensitivity reduces the deck screen. I really like that because that was so annoying. So, obviously, I don't think that the changes are enough yet. I do like the direction they're going with some of the changes in card battles, just allowing it to be a little more thrown change in the meta, I guess. Because not only are they nerfing the defend cards, because that's one thing, but they're also differentiating and buffing some of the rushing cards just to make it a little more interesting. Because from what it seems, it's making the rounds 10 through 12 rushes more interesting, there's more variety, and those defenses are generally tougher to afford now. Which means you sacrifice the eco to get the defense, or you play greedy and use some non-traditional defense. So, obviously I think more work will need to be done on the balancing changes, but overall, I like that. So, let me know what y'all think of the update in the comments below. And with that, hope y'all enjoyed, and see y'all in the next one.